Welcome to All Sports News, a new channel on YouTube where we will give you a variety of information on all the major sports today. For any further information on what's going to be included on this channel, read the description below and enjoy the video. Alright guys, so on this first NBA Saturdays episode, we will be covering all free agency that has surrounded the media for around the past month, I would say. And it's also talking about rumors and everything towards the end, so we'll get to that. But first, we're heading to Cleveland with the max contract extension for young star Kyrie Irving as he's returning to Cleveland, which is a great sign for them this year. Then going to the Pistons, they're going to sign a guard who had a breakout year towards the end, Jody Meeks for the Lakers. He had a couple of 30-point games towards the end, so that's good as he hopes to improve his game this year. Then the Wizards are going on to re-sign Marcin Gortat, who will be their starting center this year, as he provided some great games for them in the playoffs against the Bulls, and I believe against the Pacers he played well. Then Sean Livingston, coming back from an MCL and ACL injury, I believe 2 years ago or this year, he's going from the Nets to now the Warriors to be the backup for Steph Curry. The Celtics are re-signing Avery Bradley, who is a good shooter and also could play decent defense. He will probably be off the bench as they have Rondo and Marcus Smart now after the draft. The Pacers go overseas to get Dame Jean Rudez, I believe that's how you say it, and he actually, I believe, was a good shooter and a good rebounder overseas, so that's a good pickup for them. Then getting some depth as you know, Lance Stevenson left. We'll get to that in the future of the video, but they signed C.J. Miles, who will be filling in for Lance, as you could suppose. And then the Toronto Raptors re-signed Kyle Lowry, which is huge for them because he played great in the playoffs and all year, and he is one of their better players on their team, so that's huge for them, as you already know. Then the Spurs re-signed Patty Mills. He'll be injured for most of the year, but when he comes back, he is a good shooter and a decent defender, as he is very quick, and that is a great acquisition for them to be coming back. But unfortunately, he is hurt. That is a problem. The Kings signed Darren Collison as they are unable to sign Isaiah Thomas. And Darren Collison's actually probably a better all-around player, so in the end, they improve at the point guard position. The Hawks then signed Thabo Sefolosha, who was previously on the Thunder. He was a great defender. Now going to the Hawks to replace Lou Williams at the shooting guard position. The Mavericks then also signed Dirk Nowitzki to a contract extension. He is old, but he still got it. He still got that great scorer's mentality and game and rebounding, so he's still a great player. You have to respect him. The Blazers, already having a great starting five, now going after a bench this offseason, signed Chris Kaman for some center depth, which is, I believe, a great move for them. They're becoming stronger every year. The Jazz then signed small forward Steve Novak for bench purposes. As you know, he's a dead-eye shooter, and he will be coming in to just get you some threes late in the game or just get your offense fired up from three. The Clippers then making some splashes this year as well. Clippers signed Spencer Hawes. He was pretty good for Cleveland, and he's going to serve as depth for them on the bench. They signed a couple of players for the bench this year. We'll get into that. Spurs re-signed Boris Diaw, had a great finals and playoffs for the Spurs, so that is great for them, and he's part of the championship team, so you want to bring him back and see what he could do this year as well. Getting back to the Clippers, they signed Jordan Farmar, who will be the backup to Chris Paul, and he is a great ball handler who sees the court well, and that's a perfect backup for a star guard like Chris Paul. The Heat make a couple of splashes as well, signing Josh McRoberts for bench purposes, who had a pretty nice year with the Bobcats. He's a good rebounder and good playmaker and passer for power forward. They also signed Danny Granger from free agency, who will be getting some scoring for them, possibly starting or possibly off the bench. Who knows? Injuries for him have been a problem. The Pistons then signed Aaron Gray for some bench depth. As you know, Andre Drummond, star center, an upcoming star center, I should say, needs some breaks sometimes, so he'll be there for him then. Also, then the Magic signed Channing Frye, good scorer for the Suns, probably going to be off the bench for the Magic, as he's getting up there in age, His knees aren't quite there anymore, so yeah, he'll probably be a good bench player for them. The Raptors are getting Grievous Vasquez back, and he's a good playmaker, good shooter, you know, basic, good point guard off the bench, more than likely. They also signed D-League player James Johnson, who played for Memphis a little bit, but not much on him. I knew that he was in the D-League, though, but not much information on him. Then the biggest signing of the offseason, LeBron James returns to Cleveland, Ohio to play with his first team, and this year he will actually be playing with Kyrie Irving and possibly Andrew Wiggins, and it'll be a better team. The Lakers blew up their roster completely. First acquisition was getting Julius Randle, then acquiring Jeremy Lin from the Houston Rockets, then also getting back familiar face Swaggy P, who will be off the bench for probably scoring. He's definitely not playing defense. Hopefully, he just won't shoot over the backboard. That's what they're hoping for, at least. The Heat need to get some free agents, and they signed Chris Bosh back at least for, I believe it was $118 million. Huge contract, but he's worth it. One of the best power forwards in the game. Nobody could deny that. The Suns acquiring Isaiah Thomas, like I said before. The Kings signed Darren Collison, as they knew they weren't going to get Isaiah Thomas back. Suns have a great guard core now with Goran Dragic, Bledsoe, and Isaiah Thomas. Hawks signed Kent Bazemore, who played with the Warriors and the Lakers this year. Came over in that, I believe it was Steve Blake trade. He was in that. Now he's going to the Hawks. So he's a good scorer. Vince Carter, getting up there in age, may not be able to fly as much, but, still a great shooter. And the Grizzlies are going to sign him after a nice time with the Mavs. He'll be an effective role player there. Thunder signed Anthony Morrow only for shooting off the bench reasons. I mean, really, Anthony Morrow is nothing more special than a decent scorer with a great outside shot. But it's nice to have a shooter on the team, so that's a good acquisition for them. The Bulls not able to sign Carmelo Anthony like I would have liked, as I am a Bulls fan, but they do sign Pau Gasol after amnestying Carlos Boozer. Then the Rockets not able to get Chandler Parsons back. It was a shame, as he is a great player, but they do sign Trevor Ariza, and Trevor Ariza, not as good as Parsons, but a still effective defensive player and scorer. Hornets signed Marvin Williams. He actually may start as Kid Gilchrist, not really improving over the past few years. Marvin Williams actually is at an older age, and he's doing pretty nice. The Wizards signed Paul Pierce. He's bouncing around from the Celtics to the Nets to now the Wizards. They get him after losing Trevor Ariza, so he'll fit in perfectly at the small forward position. Then, the second biggest signing probably this year, the Knicks re-signed Carmelo Anthony for 5 years, $129 million, as he is their star and will be for the next couple of years. Actually, 5 years, I should say. So then the Heat signed Luol Deng. Like I said, they also blew up their roster. Luol Deng might be starting, maybe Danny Granger, who knows. We know that he will be effective this year, covering for LeBron. Then the Mavericks signed Richard Jefferson. The Hornets then signed Brian Roberts. Sorry, I'm kind of speeding up now, but I have to. The video time constraints. But the Mavericks signed Chandler Parsons then, as the Rockets don't match the offer sheet. He'll be a good duo with Dirk and Monte Ellis. This will be a good team next year. Then the Heat get 3 players back here. They re-signed Mario Chalmers, point guard. Good score. They re-signed Chris Anderson, defensive specialist and rebounding. And then they signed Dwayne Wade, loyal to this franchise and will always be. They could not let him go. He was a big part of the championships and the 06 finals with Shaq, so you cannot let him go. Then the Pistons pick up 2 players. They pick up DJ Augustine, who was effective for the Bulls off the bench and now going to be very effective, more than likely back up to Brandon Jennings off the bench. The Pistons also then signed Caron Butler, good scorer. Will probably be off the bench for Josh Smith. So this is a great 2 signings for them. Their bench is getting good. Their starting 5 is good. They'll be a good contender in the East this year, I believe. The Pelicans signed John Salmons, good defensive player, and also has a nice outside touch off the bench. He'll be good for them as they don't need him in the starting five. They already have Tyreek Evans there at the small forward position. The Rockets side, Jeff Adrian, don't really know much about him, but apparently he did good towards the end of the year, and I did see some highlights. He's not a bad player, not a great player. He'll be decent off the bench for them. Jazz signed Trevor Booker, was a decent player for them in the playoffs this year off the bench. So, yeah, the Jazz could use him for good use as they need somebody to fill in at the power forward position. The Wizards signed Chris Humphries. He bounced from the Nets to the Celtics, so he'll be a good player off the bench as well. After losing Trevor Booker, they could use somebody to fill in. The Cavaliers signed Mike Miller. Mike Miller will be reunited with LeBron. The Knicks signed Jason Smith to fill in for Tyson Chandler. The Mavericks signed Rashard Lewis for some bench shooting and scoring. The Suns signed Anthony Tolliver for also some shooting off the bench. Lance Stevenson, big player here, signs with the Hornets to start. Cavaliers signed James Jones, also will be reunited with LeBron in Cleveland. Magic signed Luke Ridnour for some bench depth off the bench. Pacers signed Rodney Stuckey. This is a big signing because the Pacers, losing Lance Stevenson, need a two-guard, and Stuckey is a combo guard that's a good rebounder, scorer, and defender. Could do mostly everything at a decent, level. Ed Davis then goes to the Lakers. The Lakers blew up their roster, like I said multiple times. He's a good young player that could rebound. They signed him for 2 years, I believe $2 million, so cheap for a good player. Wizards signed Dejounte Blair, good rebounder. Lakers claim Carlos Boozer from the amnesty from the Bulls. He'll be a mentor to Julius Randle. Rockets signed, I believe his name is Ish Smith. Comment how to say his name in the section below. Pelicans signed Jimmer Fredette for some shooting off the bench. Jan Vesely signs in the EuroLeague after a poor career in the NBA, pretty much. The Wizards passed up on Kawhi Leonard to select him. I think they're biting their butt that they did that now. Cavaliers acquire John Lucas III, might be trade bait. This offseason, Mavericks signed Al-Farouq Aminu for some scoring and defense. Mavericks signed Jameer Nelson. Mavericks really having a big impact on this offseason. And then the Cavaliers are getting some love here. No pun intended, but Love is interested and wants to be traded to the Cavaliers. We'll see what happens from there. Alright guys, so that was the first video of NBA Saturday. Sorry I was kind of robotic. There was a lot to people to cover, and towards the end I kind of rushed. I tried to rush, sort of the not so highlight things. I did kind of rush Lance Stevenson, but I'll go into depth on anything you guys want. So comment in the section below what you guys want me to do for next Saturday, what you guys want me to talk about. I really want your opinion. Thanks for watching the first video, and I hope you guys return for the next NBA Saturdays and everything else. So it's been sports news, and I'm signing out. See you guys later.